how do you work with folks that are now working remotely that struggle without that structure or struggle without those kind of visual cues of what they had in the office? And I'll speak from my own personal experience. I've been working from home, full on work from home for the last, 3 years or so. And prior to that, partially work from home. One thing that I've found as an individual that's very useful is the Pomodoro method. It's taken from like the Pomodoro tomato timers that people put in their kitchens. Essentially, you set it to 25 minutes. You're not checking email, you're not checking your texts or any other distractions, and you're just focused in on your work. 5 minutes. After that 25 minutes, you do 5 minutes of a break. Do whatever you want. Get up, stretch. Do some push-ups or check your phone, whatever it is, and then another 25 minutes back at it, and then a 5-minute break. And you cycle through that about 4 times. That'll bring you to about 2 hours. And then at that point, you take maybe a 15 to 20-minute break and then jump back in it. That's been useful for me to create my own sense of structure. It's enough time where I can, get some ideas out or get into a flow. And sometimes I just get in a really good flow and I don't even stop at the 25 minutes. But then it's a reminder to take that break. For some folks, especially, a lot of young people, our brains are being kind of transformed. Well, everyone really, by technology, by our smartphones and how addictive they are. Giving yourself that visible window of a break that is coming, even if it's just 5 minutes, it's like a treat. And it helps your brains to relax and get into the work, knowing that there's that treat of let me check my text or whatever coming soon. So that is something that has worked well for me. But I'd like to hear the panelists, what suggestions that you have to add in that structure for teams or for leaders.
One of the things that I do personally, because I'm oftentimes pulled into 1,000 different directions at the same time, and I have 3 or 4 meetings going on at the same time, and trying to get focused on what I need to do is a bit of a challenge. So I actually book my day with what I call focus time. And I book my lunch and I book a break to remind me to get up. Otherwise, I'm sitting at my desk for 14, 15 hours and I look up and go, what happened to my day? I didn't get anything done because I was so distracted with, dealing with whatever fire was happening at that moment in time. So really taking control of your calendar. One of the things that I've noticed that since COVID has happened is people are taking a lot of liberties with scheduling and meetings and getting on your calendar and starting to push those meetings earlier in the day and pushing them later. So you have to take your control of your own calendar and start blocking out those times. And when people try to schedule on top of your focus time, we have to learn to say no and say, I'm sorry, I have something at that time. I cannot handle your request, because otherwise we're just in this vicious cycle of work, work, work. And that leads to the overwork or the non-productive person who quits and says, I just can't work that well. And they start becoming very unproductive. So it kind of leads to the extremes. But take control of your calendar would be my biggest recommendation.
Yeah, I would second that. Take control of your calendar. Our teams internally put very specified meeting kind of parameters of what the times that you can set a meeting and when you cannot set a meeting. So that's number one. An exercise that we did was we had everyone write out a ritual for themselves on what makes them feel the best. Because normally when you're feeling the best, you work the best. So for me, it was getting up early, getting a sweat in, making tea or coffee, and then sitting at my computer, right? And so everyone on the team has their own personal one, and they come to the computer at different times. So I would say I would help your team member or employee find the ritual that works best for them. And then lastly, I would just say, have them talk back their schedule to you. We've had one team member that was completely undisciplined when we first went remote. I mean, completely. And it is a little bit of getting them to work within a disciplined way, still with the freedom. So find the exercises to help them realize what their own ritual is. And then hopefully that will bleed into the work.